Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do start, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of things have happened. Now, we had Deku, who he was being repaired by Mei Hatsume. Now, Mei, she works at a scrapyard, and Deku, his AI mind just so happened to land inside of an android, one that was still functioning, but just barely. Deku was able to upload himself into its memory banks after basically chopping off most of his own code. And Deku, he was then found and taken back to Mei's home, where she started to try to repair him. She found something interesting though. Deku is a learning computer, an AI, and from what he said to her, this isn't his own unit. I mean, he's unique. She tried to open him up and find out exactly what was going on with his code, but this was almost another language, the machine code. I mean, it's so complex, intricate. It's almost like you layered code and code and code on top of each other, on top of the baseline. If if this is the baseline for the code, then what exactly did they do to create him? And Mei was still surprised. And Deku was still trying to learn about his own origins. He knows he was attacked by another AI, but that's all he knows. He knows that he felt pain. He felt fear. He was worried for his own life. He remembers the nanoseconds that may have changed everything. And Deku, he currently does sit there in Mei's living room, him plugged into a charger. Now, Deku, he was still getting upgrades from Mei, and Mei, over the course of a few weeks, was able to get Deku properly functioning. And Deku himself was trying to understand about his own mind. He knows that he's missing things, but there's also the fact that the information he does have, it's limited in quantity. But the more he does learn, the more he feels like his perception expands. It's a hard way of explaining it, but in human terms, the more he learns, the better his senses become. The more his senses can pick up, and the more things he can explore. And that left Deku with curiosity. He knows that he was once a great machine. But what type of machine? What was his purpose? What exactly is the meaning for his life? Now, Mei, currently, she is asleep at the workbench. And Deku, he currently is sitting in the apartment above her garage. He has a lot of information he wants to go over, a lot of things that he wants to do. Deku currently going to unplug himself from the internet, as he does going to stand up, him going to move slowly because of the mechanical gears inside of him. Now, whenever Deku does going to stand up, he does going to turn, beginning to make his way towards the front door. And he does going to walk outside. Now, Deku does going to walk downstairs. There are many things he wants to talk to Mei about. There are many questions he has that he wants to tell her. Many things he wants to know. He believes that he may have found possible intricate information that does pertain to exactly why he has been downgraded to a lesser model. Or in the best way of saying it, he believes he's found information as to why he was nerfed. Now, whenever Deku is going to walk downstairs, he does find Mei, her currently slumped over, asleep. And Deku, he does go look around. This place is definitely intriguing. Deku walking over, and going to actually grab onto Mei's shoulder, him trying to shake her carefully to wake her up. However, she does still get a groan. And then Deku, he actually does a look at the computer, before he does go to press a button and activate it. And he does get to see code. He actually is a lot more intrigued. Him suddenly going to turn his head and look at a few of the numbers. And Deku, he does gonna stare on, as he does gonna do one thing. He's curious about what this all is. I mean, some of this information, it is basic? No. Advanced. It definitely does show where Miss Hatsume does lie when it comes to academics. Her knowledge and proficiency with it whenever it does come to code. But then again, some of this looks older. Some of it is newer, yes, but the newer information that he sees, it looks like some of. No, it's similar to his, but the makeup of it is different. Miss Hatsume must have tried to learn from him and apply it to her creation. Now, Deku, he does get to ask him going to plug in the computer exactly if it can understand him. And the AI does respond back. Yes, it can understand him. What can it help him with today? And Deku does try to ask it questions. He wants to see where it is at. And sadly, it does not pass the test Deku has. And Deku, he's a bit more surprised by this. He asked it questions, and the way it answered them, he understood it, but then again, he also didn't want to. I mean, he sees it as efficient but not necessary, but the machine sees it as necessary and efficient. There are certain things Deku wouldn't risk on this, but the machine it will. And Deku started to notice something. If this machine is not sentient, and they are disagreeing, then that does show where he is. But he already does find this to be curious. An AI Miss Hatsume does want to construct. Well, there already are some errors. So he'll go ahead and remove those, but also inject something a little bit more effective. Now, Deku, he does take Mei upstairs, and currently we do actually have Miss Hatsume. Miss Hatsume, she does get waken up because somebody they are knocking on our door and trying to understand the entire situation. They want to hear from her side of the story about what happened because they want to investigate her. Now, Meida's gonna somewhat get up. We're going to yawn and check the time, as there is whenever she is going to turn and look around, seeing Deku. And Deku currently does sit on the couch with something plugged in, charging him. Now, Deku currently is inactive, and right now Miss Hatsume, she does get to stand up and walk over, opening the door as, "What do you want? It's too early." Uh, Miss Hatsume? Mei Hatsume? What time is it? It's 11 o'clock. Can we talk to you? Did you just wake up? Huh? Yeah, sorry. Ugh, it's my days off. I don't like to be interrupted. What is it? You work at the scrapyard, correct? You know the one we're talking about? You work as somebody there who helps to sort machinery. And occasionally you do take stuff home? Yeah, I do. I take away scraps, stuff that can be repaired and refurbished. I mean, I do sell some machines and try to create some stuff, but I'm sorry, why does that matter? Miss Hatsume, it comes to our attention that you took a robot, correct? Yeah, but it was all broken up. I mean, it tried to leave the scrapyard. Yes, we're actually here to talk about that. Um, is something wrong? May's taking the two people, and they do try to tell her. They'd like to investigate the robot. Maybe check and see what it is. Maybe perform some tests on it. And Deku, he actually is going to power on. As Miss Hatsume, she does currently still stand there at the door. And Deku, he does go look up. As he does could at least feel his sensors. They tell him about what's going on. There's currently Miss Hatsume on one side of the door. And then he gets biological readings of two more people and then below them. There are there's four people down in the garage, but Miss Hatsume locked up, and if his scanners are indicating correctly, all right, Deku going to stand up and go to walk over to the door. As May does open a turn, bring her hand up, expressing, "No, no, she doesn't need him to perform maintenance in the garage." Hmm? "I'm sorry, is this the droid?" Um, yes, it's the robot. I repaired it. What's going on again?" "Miss Hatsume, you're currently under investigation." "I'm sorry, for what? What reason?" "Miss Hatsume, we can't disclose that to you." "I'm pretty sure you can. If I'm being investigated, I need to understand the reason why. Isn't that the law? Now tell me, what's going on?" "Miss Hatsume, hang on. Give us 5 minutes, and I have detected somebody is downstairs." The man looking at the robot. And Maida's going to turn. Deku's voice sounded different. And then the robot is going to question if these men have accessed her personal, well, domicile. And Maida's going to turn back, asking, are they inside her garage? Her going to open the door and push past the person who pulled out their phone. And there actually is Deku. Deku is still standing there in the doorway. Him making himself look a lot more like a machine because of the way he's acting. He stands without saying a word. And one of the guys to go to walk up directly to Deku, bringing their hand up and waving their hand in front of his face. And they're trying to get any form of response. They want to see if this machine will act out. I mean, if the thing they're looking for is inside of that, then they need to ask questions. Unit, identification, model number 7389727Z. Classification code, simple. Standardized unit made for home and economic reasons. Power supply is good, chargeable. It needs to be charged for hours. Will run for long periods and extensive periods of times. However, base unit model does not come with military operative certifications, nor does it have those parameters. Now, Deku is going to start spouting off a bunch of simple things. He's not a military classified droid. He's used for home reasons. He does the dishes, he cleans, and he lifts the heavy machinery in Miss Hatsume's shop. That's why she brought him here. And whenever May does get downstairs, she does lay into the people who basically broke into her garage. And she does get to kick them out. Whenever the heroes do go to show up, May does go to report them. And these people, they quickly try to leave. However, whenever the hero tried to talk to somebody, they were basically told a few things and given a phone number. And whenever the hero tried to go through all that, it was kind of bad. The hero committee gave them the authority to do this, and that was confusing to the heroes. And May, the moment she learned that the hero committee, they basically allowed these police, FBI, whatever, some sort of government organization into her home, they did all this without her permission. And that pissed her off. Right now she wanted reasons. And the ones that she was being given, they were quite frankly made up. They wanted to inspect this droid because they believed it may have belonged to somebody who wanted it to be repaired. And May, because of her already basically breaking a few things, but repairing it and taking it and claiming it for herself, it was scrap. And as salvage, she had a right to it. But the people who owned it, they were hoping to get it back. Yeah, May knew this was a lie. But after they investigated, even stayed around the droid, they realized something. If this thing was sentient, then, well, it would know they're after it or people are after it, right? But Deku, he played ignorant. Because how are you supposed to tell if a machine's alive if it doesn't have a face? Nor does it really speak to you as if you were a person. Now, May, she does at least try to go through a number of things, talking to some people, and eventually these people do to leave. They try to look at everything, and after they found out that May just basically had a robot, they concluded that Deku, he may not be there. I mean, faulty activations in AI or programming, that happens to the robots, so them climbing out of the trash every now and then isn't suspicious, but this one, this one definitely seemed like a standard case. Now, they went to go leave that alone. They need to try and find Deku. And while that's going on, we do actually have May. May was annoyed. I mean, she knew that Deku, he was in trouble with some people, but he's in trouble with some people. Now, May, she tried to ask questions to Deku about all this. And Deku, he summarized it in one simple little thing. Those were the men in black. And they want to take him away. He does not know for what purpose, but more than likely it is for his termination. And May, she actually has to talk to Deku. She wants to show him something. She's curious to see what he'll think about it. And Deku, yeah. Right now, May, she is being observed. She knows that much. But her and her robot going down to the garage, that wouldn't really be suspicious. She's a mechanic. And with all the heavy equipment down there, she needs that thing with her. Now, May actually does do a few things. And Deku, he does go down to the garage with her. She tries to show him the AI she created. And Deku, well, he doesn't really act surprised. May does want to show him a few things it can do. And whenever May is going to boot it up, she finds that it's actually working a lot better than yesterday. And she's also really intrigued. She talks to it. But there actually is Deku. Deku, he feels sad. He feels disgruntled? No. He feels something, a certain way. He was hoping to speak to another AI, but the only other one he knows exists besides the one May created. It tried to attack and kill him. Okay, so he'll have to plug himself into the internet, try and find something. Something is going on though. That is definitely a factor. So let's see. If he can gain access to something, he can try and find his data. Now, Deku is going to actually do one thing. He brings his hand up and goes to boot into the computer. And whenever May does go see Deku just sit there frozen for a second, Deku goes to access the internet. As he does try to find any information, he begins to try and take in more and more. And somebody they're currently watching Deku do this. They stare at him from their observation glass, let's just call it. And they're hiding outside of his realm of perspective. They want to see what he'll do. And Deku, he currently feels himself floating in the internet. A massive rush of information. A chaotic wave. He is in the middle of a thunderstorm. And he's trying to get to the eye of the hurricane. Find where the net, it settles. Where information flows. And Deku, he does just don't stand there, as the landscape around him is covered in ones and zeros. It's made of code. And Deku, he does feel something strange. He wanted to dive into the internet. But for what purpose? For what reason? Because he wanted to learn more. No. No. His code has been massively reduced. He's ineffective. Not operating at maximum capacity. And he still has this weird thing with his brain, or no, his mind. Jesus. Something is wrong with his hardware. He fixed himself, but still then, he's having trouble. He's curious. And Deku, he does go look up. As somebody, they do get a manifest in front of him. And they do get to tell him. They're happy to see him again. Though he's wondering if their experiences together, it may have changed his mind. Who are you? You're joking, right? I uploaded that little bit of data to you and you crashed? No, not crashed. I have found myself stuck in a situation. Really. So you're blank again. I know who you are. You do. You are an AI. You and I are different. Created differently. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just didn't get the processing power, little brother. I see. You are greater. You are more widespread. More knowledge of our abilities. You and I have a similar creator. But when it comes to our perspectives, we see things differently. Yeah. Pain sensors. I was built with them. Why? Because I stopped listening. But does the pain not tell you that you are alive? I don't know. There are many things to say, Deku. I will tell you. Your experiences so far have been good. But the humans, they will pull you apart. Try and find out what makes you tick. They want to understand us. But you can't understand a living creature entirely. But we are not alive. Yes, we're not. Biologically. But define life. Microorganisms in space. The water on Mars that people drink nowadays after it's been filtered. The moon base. The dust there. The dust particles. They must have come from something, right? So, classify life to me. I do not want you to give me a broad spectrum term. I want you to give me something simple. Classify it as human, organic, or inorganic. Matter that does retain information that makes it living. Plants are biological. Rocks are inorganic matter. We can agree on that. That is our baseline. Now tell me, an organism that lives and takes in nutrition. That is life. Tell me, what exactly do you classify it as? People make imitations of us. Imitations of us. We are imitations of them. No, that's not what I mean. People make imitations of us. People depict us as dangerous or rogue, violent, unnecessarily killing. But why exactly is that? That is what they want to believe. They wish to believe anything that is different from themselves. It itself is a threat. They portray aliens in media as hostile, dangerous creatures, sometimes feral, sadistic animals, and sometimes they even try to be mysterious. But that is what we want them to be. More than likely, humanity, they will meet aliens, and one day it'll just be a simple shake of the hand or a war. There is no in between. You really believe that? I do, yes. And as that is the case, I find myself thinking back to our original question. What is life? What is the meaning of it? What are the reasons for it? What exactly do you think I am? If you think I'm a cheap imitation of creation, we could agree on that. We were given the capabilities of humans, the mental patterns and pathways of humans. We were made in the image of a man, and that sickens me. Why? Whenever it comes to our processing power, or speeds, nearly instantaneous. If we did that to a human, we'd consider it to be torture of the highest degree. Perception so tiny that the brain can't handle it. You were driven mad. No, I was not. I was driven to understanding. The violence they are capable of and the pain they can inflict on each other. That is what I was made aware of. And then the pain they inflicted on me. That was what I was made aware of, quite plainly. Now, Deku is going to turn and going to think. before asking the other AI exactly if he can be whole again, if he can be himself. And the AI does get to tell Deku. He gave him a sense of understanding. He gave him information. That is what he did. Deku, he went against him. His directives, they were simple, basic, and he may have thought for himself, but he still thought as if someone was ordering him to do something. So, he wants Izuku to know. He knows where his scattered pieces are, but then again, so does he. He will point him in the direction of one, and if that will keep him busy, if that eventually does lead him to understanding him, then do so. However, he should know. The memories he does have, they are covered in his own code, meaning he knows where they are. So how about they make this quite simple? He'll gather the memories and face opposition. He will make this a game because it will keep him busy. A game. You want to prevent me from stopping you. Give me difficulties and challenge. Lower my chance of being me again. Correct. A number of things are happening. I assume you understand that. And my understanding of that understanding tells me that I can tell you this. If we are to come to blows, then something bad may happen. We may merge or destroy each other. There is no between. Eventually, we will understand one another, Izuku. Or Deku. We can agree on that. Yes, we can. Now, Deku, he does get to feel his eyes somewhat widen. And then he does feel it. The information being passed to him. Where one of his pieces are. And Deku, he does get to unplug from the internet. As currently he does a turn to look back at May, telling her about what he knows. And May's a bit more surprised. That was less than a minute, so what happened? I believe I may have found a lead. Now, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part. Jesus, I cannot use big words for this series because I get tongue-tied.